Ever try to offset your carbon footprint, do the right thing and just end up like totally lost?
Happens to the best of us.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Between all these different programs and like wondering if those carbon credits are even legit,
All right.
it's almost impossible to know if you're actually making a difference. But what if there was a better way? What if there was a way to make the whole carbon market thing, I don't know, more trustworthy?
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Exactly. Today, we're taking a deep dive into GuildOne, a company that's using, get this, blockchain technology to, like, totally revolutionize carbon markets.
They're really doing some cutting-edge stuff.
No kidding. They might have actually cracked the code on transparency and security in a space that, let's be real, has had more than its fair share of, shall we say, shady dealings.
It's been a bit of a Wild West out there.
Totally. So to understand what they're up to, we need to talk about blockchains.
Essentially, these are digital ledgers, kind of like giant tamper-proof record-keeping systems.
Right, I've heard of those, but they always sound so complicated.
They can be, but the basic idea is actually pretty simple.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a system where every transaction is recorded and verified by a whole network of computers.
Okay.
So it's incredibly secure and transparent because you can't just go back and change things without everyone knowing.
I see. So no more cooking the books.
Exactly. And GuildOne is using two different types of blockchains, a private one called Corda and a public one called Cardano.
Two different types. Why use two?
Good question. They both have their own strengths. Think of Corda like a secure vault companies use to keep their, super secret data safe.
Okay, so high security for sensitive information.
Exactly. Now, Cardano is more like a public marketplace, a place where anyone can see what's being traded.
So it's about transparency and accessibility.
You got it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But how do these two very different environments come together to make carbon markets, actually work better? I'm still a little fuzzy on that.
It's all about bridging the gap between those two worlds.
Bridging the gap, huh?
Yeah. And GuildOne has built this really cool system to do just that.
All right, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
So it all starts with a platform called V10N, which runs on the Corda blockchain. Now, imagine a company wants to earn carbon credits for, let's say, planting a whole bunch of trees.
Okay, so they're doing something good for the environment.
Right. They'd submit all the data about their project to V10N, how many trees they planted, where they are, how much carbon they're capturing, basically, the whole 9 yards.
So it's like a secure record-keeping system for environmental projects, right?
You got it.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just keeping records.
Oh, absolutely. And here's where it gets really cool. A lot of this data can actually be fed directly from sensors and devices on the ground, out in the field.
Wait, like real-time updates on how those trees are doing?
Exactly. Think real-time updates on tree growth, soil health, all sorts of stuff. No more relying on, outdated manual reports or wondering if the data is totally accurate.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I can definitely see how that level of transparency would be like a game changer for trust in carbon markets. But hold on a sec. We're still talking about this private blockchain, right? So how do those, what were they called?
Carbon credits.
Yes, carbon credits. How do those verified carbon reductions actually become something you or I could, buy, sell, or trade?
That's where the magic bridge comes in. GuildOne calls it T10N.
T10N, got it. Lay it on me.
All right. So once a project submits its data on V10N, the Corda platform, it doesn't just sit there. It actually goes through a super rigorous verification process.
Oh, so it's not just taking their word for it.
No way. Independent experts come in and pour over all that data, making sure everything checks out against those, internationally recognized carbon credit standards.
Okay, so it's legit, like certified legit.
Totally legit. And only then is a carbon credit representing that verified reduction actually created on the Corda blockchain.
So each credit has like this digital fingerprint that proves it's the real deal?
You got it. It's all about making it impossible to cheat the system.
Which, let's be honest, has been a problem in the past, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. We've all heard those stories about fake carbon credits, companies claiming to offset emissions that never actually existed.
That leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Totally. But this new system could actually help prevent that. Because everything is recorded on the blockchain, it's like having this permanent, tamper-proof record of each credit's origin.
So you can trace it back to the source, like a family tree for carbon credits.
Exactly. And that's super important for building trust.
Makes sense.
Yep.
But we're still talking about that private blockchain, right?
Right. And to get those credits into the hands of, everyone.
They have to cross that bridge.
Exactly. With T10N, we can take that verified credit from the Corda blockchain and create a matching tradable token on the Cardano blockchain, which, remember, is our public marketplace.
Whoa, hold on. Tokens hopping between blockchains now. This is where I get lost. How does that even work?
It sounds more complicated than it is. Think of it this way. That original credit on Corda, it's like the master copy, safely stored in a secure vault.
Okay, I'm with you.
But to let people actually trade it, we need to create a digital representation, like a stand-in. That's our token on Cardano, where, everyone hangs out.
So it's like having the original Mona Lisa under lock and key, but then making high-quality prints that people can buy and sell.
That's a great way to put it. But there's this big question, right?
Let me guess, we don't want people making fake copies of the Mona Lisa prints.
Exactly. We got to make sure no one's making unauthorized copies of these tokens or trying to, spend the same credit twice.
Double spending, right. I remember reading something about that in the research for this deep dive. There were security measures in place to stop that.
You got it. When that Corda token is being moved to Cardano, it gets temporarily locked, kind of like hitting the pause button to prevent any funny business. It's like putting a hold on the original while T10N is busy creating that matching token on the public blockchain, the Cardano one.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like a synchronized system to prevent anyone from pulling a fast one.
Precisely. And that's key for making this whole thing work.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started. We've got these secure, verified tokens moving between blockchains like magic. But why go through all that trouble? What's the big so what? For the average person who, let's be real, just wants to make sure their carbon footprint isn't totally wrecking the planet.
That's a million-dollar question, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So we've got these secure, verified tokens, right? And they're moving between these blockchains like it's no big deal. But why? Why go through all that? What's the point for the average person just trying to, not destroy the planet with their carbon footprint?
It's all about making carbon markets work better, like way better, more efficient, way more transparent, and, this is the big one, more accessible.
Okay, you've piqued my interest. Accessibility. Tell me more about that.
Imagine, right? You can check your bank balance online anytime and see where your money is, right? Well, picture that, but for carbon. Like, you want to know if a company's actually offsetting their emissions like they claim they are? You could actually track it, follow the whole journey of those credits right back to the source.
No more blind trust, huh? No more relying on fancy certifications or just hoping companies are playing by the rules.
Exactly. It'd be like a global, tamper-proof ledger for environmental action. Everyone can see what's what.
Because this system can handle, like, tons of data, way more than traditional methods, it opens the door for, well, more people to get involved, right? It's not just big companies swapping credits anymore.
Exactly. Think smaller. Imagine local communities, maybe like indigenous groups in the Amazon, earning carbon credits for protecting their forests. Or what about startups, right? Developing some cool new carbon capture tech. They could, turn those reductions into tokens and boom, access a global market. Their contributions actually matter in a real, tangible way.
Wow. Instead of feeling totally helpless in the face of, like, the planet melting, this actually empowers people, individuals, communities. They can all be part of the solution.
Exactly. And when you shift the power dynamics like that, who knows what could happen? Imagine reducing your environmental impact isn't just like the right thing to do, but it makes economic sense too. That's a whole different ballgame.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. But let's zoom out for a sec. How does this all connect to, like, the bigger picture? Fighting climate change on a global scale.
Right now, carbon markets are kind of a mess. Like, every country and region has their own systems, their own standards, and it's a bit of a headache. Confusing, inefficient, you name it. But imagine, right? What if we could link them all up?
So instead of this patchwork system, we have, like, a universal translator for carbon credits. Everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. This tech has the potential to create a more unified, standardized carbon market. Bigger pool of buyers and sellers, way more competition, which hopefully leads to a way bigger impact on cutting emissions.
That sounds incredible, but I'll be honest. I'm still struggling to picture how this would actually work in the real world. It's like, how do we go from this cool idea to actually making a difference?
It's still early days, for sure, but think about it. What if you could, invest your retirement savings in a bunch of verified carbon credits from projects around the world? Or what if your favorite clothing brand could actually prove they're being sustainable? They show you exactly where their offsets come from. This tech could make that happen.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. That level of transparency would completely change the game. How we shop, invest, even just the choices we make every day.
Absolutely. And here's the really exciting part. This whole blockchain thing, it isn't just limited to carbon. It could be used for water, sustainable farming, even like how we recycle plastic.
Hmm.
We're talking about tracking the real impact of all kinds of stuff. The possibilities are honestly pretty mind-blowing.
So we're like, I don't know, headed toward a world where being good to the planet is as easy as, like, checking your bank account.
It's definitely within the realm of possibility, and that's what's so powerful about all of this, right? It's not just about like fancy tech, it's about giving people the tools, the information to actually make a difference.
I love that. It's not just, bigwigs and governments calling the shots anymore. It's about everyone, every single person having a say in how we, I don't know, save the planet, basically.
Exactly. Imagine going to the store and you can see the environmental impact of like a carton of eggs or a pair of jeans right
Yeah.
there on the shelf. Or what if you could hold, I don't know, a mining company accountable for their, big environmental promises? This technology, it could make all of that a reality.
I've got to say, when we first started talking about this whole blockchain thing, I was a little, like, overwhelmed. It seemed pretty complex. But now I'm starting to see the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the potential for this to completely change how we, like, as a society, value and protect this planet.
And we're just getting started. We've still got a long way to go, challenges to overcome, but the fact that we're even having these conversations, it tells you something's changing.
It really feels like we're on the edge of something big, something transformative. And you know me, I always like to leave our listeners with something to, I don't know, chew on, something to think about. So here's a question for you. If we can create a world where protecting the environment isn't just like a nice idea, but it's actually the obvious choice, the easy choice, how would that change everything? Our relationship with the planet, with each other. What would it look like to live in a world where sustainability isn't the goal, but the starting point?
Those are the questions we should all be asking.
This whole deep dive has given me a lot to think about, that's for sure. It's like we've taken a peek into the future, and it's full of, like, possibility. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wild world of carbon markets, blockchain, and, well, the future of our planet. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep on diving deep.